If you would like to view this presentation in another language, please choose the closed caption option. This presentation is geared toward 11th grade students and families. That being said, some content is directed toward one group or the other, but all information is important for all parties to hear. You may also notice that we repeat certain information in different sections. That's just because it's important. We also want to let you know that there is a little bit of a lag time between you and us. We will leave a few minutes at the end for questions, but please be mindful that they should be general questions, not specific to your child. You will do this through the Q&A feature. You can also ask questions in the Q&A throughout the presentation, and counselors will do their best to answer in real time. We'll begin with a few housekeeping items. Next slide. I'd like to begin with a list of people who make up the 11th grade counseling team. Hopefully students know who their counselor is by now, but if not, they will get to know them very well over the next year. I will also begin to transition to working with our 11th grade students more this spring. Some of our counselors are here with us this evening and will introduce themselves during their different parts. Next slide. Thank you. This next slide lists a few important upcoming events. So right now we are in the middle of quarter exams. They just started. The second quarter is about to be over next week on January 29th. We will have a rising scheduling night for 10th through 12th graders. We'll get that date out as soon as we have it, but that will also be virtual. On February 6th, we'll have an activities fair for everyone during lunch. And then on the 14th of February, we have an electives fair also held during lunch. And that's a great opportunity for students to get to see different classes, elective classes that are available to them. And then we are about to start our course selection for next year. CRFs will be coming soon. Counselors will be meeting with students through English classes for academic advising and course selection. And now that our housekeeping items are over, I just want to share a brief overview of tonight's presentation. First, we're going to start with a very short overview of Naviance. We'll discuss how to prep for success, talk about testing, junior and senior year timelines, and we'll finish up with additional options that students can pursue after high school. And now I'll turn it over to Mr. Cashwell.
Hello. I'm Dewey Cashwell, one of the counselors. I'm going to talk to you about Naviance. Next slide. What is Naviance? Naviance is a tool to help students plan for their future. They can also look into career exploration. For example, when your child was in 10th grade, they did a self-discovery. It was like a little career cluster. Students, they created a resume. They did college searches. They can review college profiles. Students can access, like looking at the size of schools, their GPA, the SAT scores, admission rates, the majors, programs, etc. All students automatically have access to Naviance. And parents and guardians, you also can request access with Naviance with Mrs. Catino. Next slide. Prepping for success. Sorry. Next slide. To prepare for the college application process, students will want to start collecting in an ordered way all of their achievements and involvements in high school. Begin starting to make notes, so like any clubs, activities, summer programs, community service, any type of work experience, anything that you're involved in inside and outside of school will kind of be based to form that resume. This is a time to focus in on high school achievements, some middle school achievements as well, as long as they can consist of some things, volunteer service, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts. But we typically want students to try to include things from the last 10 years. In addition, think about the number of hours that you spend if you practice a sport, certain games, concerts, part of the band, any type of tournaments. We want you to kind of have like a realistic picture of the activities and things that you do. Applications typically ask for an estimation of, time. So like if you've done 50 concerts or so, you might say you've practiced for 8 to 10 hours a week. Or if you have a job, kind of think about the amount of hours that you have. As you start to think about this list, if you haven't been as involved as you think, or you would like to do more, it's not too late to start. Okay. Find things that interest you, join them because, like any types of clubs, if you want to get a job, because colleges look for like a nice, well-rounded student. If you have to work, babysit, or anything like that, that's important. You could say that you are involved with your family, that you help. Family time is very important. Also, if you do anything with like a team expo or any type of volunteer services over the summer, include all of those kind of things as well. Next slide. Okay, also, you can submit a resume along with your brag sheet to your counselor for a recommendation letter. We'll talk a little bit more about that later, but a brag sheet is just like it's saying, you brag about your accomplishments, things that you're involved in, and it kind of shows us as counselors, it helps us with writing the recommendation letters. Also, it helps with you, kind of remembering all the great things that you did. Okay, all information when you upload the resume is in one place, and it'll be there, make life easier for you as a senior. So I was gonna say, next slide. Oh, I'm sorry, can we go back? Thank you. So here are some things to consider when you're prepping for success. CRFs are getting ready to come out soon. Those are course request forms. They'll be handed out soon to students. So this is a great time to talk to your counselor. It will. I've been calling students down myself and other counselors as well. We kind of been talking about with our students and kind of catching up in a process called academic advising. So we kind of look in terms of the classes you've been taking, the kind of rigor that you have, and possibly talking about some of those colleges, SATs. We also offer a WNL, AP, IB, and dual enroll classes. These classes are weighted. This means they offer a potential for additional quality points. So that's a great way to boost your GPA. Summer school is a big thing that's coming up, and people sign up for certain classes to either credit recovery if you have failed a course, or students definitely grab the econ personal finance option. Typically, they'll take it virtually to kind of help out. You can also use the PSATs, practice SAT, and there you can help identify your strengths and areas and where you need to improve. The PSAT is offered at our school, so no registration is necessary. And all sophomores and juniors take it in October during the school day. And 11th graders, if they take the PSAT, they can be considered to be a National Merit Scholar depending on your score. They will be notified the fall of their senior year. Next slide. Now, Mrs. Palmer will keep on going.
Thank you. I'm Ms. Palmer, and I'm going to cover some key points about testing and college entrance exams. Next slide. Okay, so there are two major exams used for colleges in the US, the SAT and the ACT. Colleges don't really care which you take. The tests are similar, although there are some notable differences. The SAT covers reading, writing, and math, 2 modules for each now that the SAT is all digital. No more paper and pencil SAT. The new digital SAT is adaptive, so the difficulty of the second module for the reading and writing and math depends on how well you do the first module. It's timed as usual, but because it's digital, it's a bit different. Plan for 2 hours and 14 minutes, or 32 minutes for 27 items in the first reading and writing module, and another 32 minutes for 27 questions in the second. Then 35 minutes for 22 items on the first math module, and another 35 minutes for 22 items in the second. Altogether, 98 questions with 71 seconds per reading and writing question and 95 seconds per math question. There are 54 short reading passages, 1 question per passage. It's mostly multiple choice with some student-produced response pieces for math. There should be 4 unscored questions mixed in each section amongst the scored questions, but it's still a 1,600 point score with reading and writing and math each on a scale of 200 to 800. The ACT is still paper and pencil. It covers English, math, and reading, and has a science reasoning section that tests your critical thinking skills, but not specific science knowledge. There's also an optional writing. I won't go into as much detail because it's unchanged, but runs 2 hours and 55 minutes, and the composite score is scaled 1 to 36, with the subscores from each of the 4 required sections comprising that, not including the writing. We also have some other exams like the PSAT, AP, IB, and TOEFL. There are some other exams I want to cover as well. Sophomores and juniors would have taken the PSAT or the practice SAT in October. That score can help you with the test prep. Some of you might have heard of the old SAT subject tests, but those are discontinued. AP and IB exams, they can be helpful to showcase your hard work and advanced knowledge, as well as get you some college credit, but they're usually not a part of the admission process for colleges. If you are a native English speaker or English is your second language, if you're not a native English speaker or English is your second language, some colleges may require an English proficiency exam, such as the TOEFL, Test of English as a Foreign Language, or IELTS. If that is you, ask your counselors about it. Colleges might also waive it for various reasons, such as specific number of years you've received English-based instruction at a U.S. high school. Next slide. Awesome. To access your PSAT and SAT reports, you need to visit the collegeboard.org website, and you'd similarly visit the ACT.org website to get your scores. If you already have an account, then you just need to log in and select your scores to view or select missing scores to locate them. We also have testing dates upcoming. So if you look, you'll have your spring 2025 testing dates as well as the ACT testing dates. We also have our W&L CEEB code, which you'll use to get your scores. If you already have an account, then you just need to log in, select your scores to view, or select missing scores to locate them. If you have trouble with seeing your scores, you will need to contact College Board so they can help. Your PSAT scores are available in your College Board accounts. Students all have a College Board account, and they may also have an ACT.org account. ACT scores are typically available a couple weeks after test day. SAT scores should now be available within days thanks to the digital format, although students won't have any access to their questions and/or answers. Next slide.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jessie Osher, and I'm one of the counselors at W&L. Thanks, Ms. Palmer. I'm going to talk to you now about the junior year timeline. So where most of our 11th graders are right now and where they have to look forward to for the remainder of the year. We have, or we will, do academic plans with our juniors before the year ends. This will be a meeting where we go over graduation requirements that have been and still need to be fulfilled, and make sure that our 11th graders are choosing a suitable schedule for their senior year. We will also talk about plans for after high school and ensure our students have all of the necessary information to pursue whatever their goals might be. If college is the goal, students should begin making a list of colleges and visiting those schools either in person or virtually through the spring and summer. If you can go ahead and go to the next slide. This kind of just shows a junior year timeline of what the year kind of should look like. Like I said, most students have or will start to meet with their counselor to talk about those different requirements. If you plan to visit schools in person and you must miss any school, please remember that for an absence to be excused, you must use the college visitation form to verify that absence. The form is available online or in the counseling office. To get this form approved, students will need to get it signed by an administrator before they leave for the visit, get it signed by an official once at the college, and then return it to the attendance office once they come back. There's also an option to visit with college reps while they are at Washington Liberty. That's going to happen in the building, and there are college visit passes that students can fill out 2 days prior to the visit. The process with that is getting it signed by a teacher and then being able to go down and hear what the college reps have to say about their school. A complete list will be available on Naviance in the fall, and all grade levels are welcome to attend those. If you plan to submit ACT or SAT scores, like Ms. Palmer talked about, you will register directly through College Board for the SAT and through ACT.org for the ACT. You'll want to just keep in mind that some schools are test optional. So for those schools, you get to decide if you want to submit your scores or not. As you begin the process of formulating your list of schools, please feel free to consult your counselor at any time as you need to with those college questions. Before junior year is over, students will need to complete and submit a brag sheet, which counselors use to complete our counselor letters of recommendation for colleges, for scholarships, and for other programs that may also ask for a letter. This is a requirement and can be found on the Washington Liberty Counseling webpage under resources. Parents and guardians are also invited and encouraged to submit a brag sheet. It will also be available in the same location. This helps us really write a holistic letter of recommendation that includes various important perspectives. So please do prioritize this task ahead of the deadline. Also, before the end of the school year, students will want to ask teachers in person for their letters of recommendation. We recommend asking 2 teachers who know you best as a student in the classroom. You will formally request letters from teachers in the fall, at least 15 school days in advance of the deadline. You can also ask coaches, supervisors, bosses, and other people who know you well outside of school, but those will be added separately into the Common App. They do not count as actual teacher letters of recommendation. We recommend also just finding out how many letters are required for the schools that you're looking at because it does vary. Something to remember is that initial transcripts that are sent out to colleges include grades through the end of junior year, and it also will include the classes students take at the beginning of 12th grade. So finishing 11th grade strong is very important. Over the summer, you'll continue finalizing your list of schools and create a Common App account. The Common Application is the single most used application for applying to college, and students do have access to apply to over 1,000 US schools and some abroad schools via this Common Application. Common App does do a rollover at the beginning of August, so you might want to just create your account and hold off on adding additional information until that rollover happens. After that August rollover, applications will be available for the 2025-2026 application season. Working on your college essay is also an important step to begin before the end of the school year and going into next year. Students will write one main Common App essay. You are more than welcome to look at the current prompts for the Common App essays, but they usually will be finalized and reported in the next few months. Some colleges also require smaller supplemental essays. So all of this to say, because this is a component that takes a long time to finalize, you will want to start early. Next slide, please. As you begin researching schools, you should personalize your list based on factors that are important to you. These factors include a gamut of different things, including size, geographical area, the type of setting. So would you be looking at a city setting, suburban, rural, urban, etc.? The cost, so talking to your family about the tuition, different scholarships to apply to, what extracurricular activities and involvement you may be looking at, school spirit, atmosphere, the student body or population, and then a variety of other factors that might be important to you. As you're doing your research, you can use Naviance to see which colleges might be of interest to you. You can look at the college websites directly. You can look at collegeboard.com, which has access to a tool called Big Future that can match you with schools as well. And then we have our wonderful college and career counselor, Ms. Catino, who is available to you in addition. Everyone's list can and it should look different because it is based off of your interests and what will fit you best. Next slide. So upcoming deadlines. There are certain middle school classes which include world geography, any math that is algebra 1 or higher, so algebra 1, geometry, algebra 2, and then any world language class which count towards high school credit and do appear on student transcripts. Students have the option to drop these classes from their transcript, especially if the grade is bringing down your overall GPA. Please keep in mind that if you do end up wanting to drop the class, you also lose the associated verified credit, which comes from SOLs if there was one included. So you'll want to just go ahead and consult with your counselor prior to dropping any of the middle school classes, as dropping some of these classes may also change a diploma type or affect your graduation requirements. There is a course drop form on the counseling website as well as in our counseling office. Again, please talk to your counselor about this just so you can verify if that is a viable option for you. And the priority deadline to drop middle school classes is May 31st. The brag sheet that I discussed earlier are going to be due to your counselor May 31st as well. So you do just want to kind of keep the date May 31st in mind as you are working through some of these different components. The last thing that you do just want to keep in mind is that if you add Washington Liberty as your school when you take your SAT or ACT, your score will be uploaded to your transcript by our central office. Some students may choose to remove this, so you can remove your SAT or ACT score from your transcript. There is a form online and in our counseling office that should be due at the beginning of fall in our next school year. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Ms. Wanzer.
She's actually passing it to me, Megan Grasso. Thanks, Ms. Osher. I'm going to talk about some information for our rising seniors to know for next year. You can go to the next slide, please. All right, so this is our fall senior timeline. In the fall, you're going to want to start to narrow your college choices. You want to start to attend college fairs and meet with college representatives. Many colleges send representatives to Washington Liberty for college visits. Your child will receive this information from Ms. Catino and can sign up for college visits in Naviance. It's really important that your child is checking their email so that they are aware of when these events are happening. In September in the fall, next year, we will have a senior night. So we encourage our seniors and families to come and to learn more details about the college application process and procedures when applying to college. We also want to remind our students and families that it's the child's responsibility to ensure that they are meeting the deadlines for all of their college applications. Please be mindful of deadlines when you're doing college research and planning in the coming weeks and months. There are some important acronyms and procedures that you will need to make sure you are aware of, especially the types of application deadlines that you will encounter. Early action, EA, application to an institution of preference, will receive a response earlier than a regular decision deadline. An early action application is not committed to enroll at that particular institution if they are accepted. Early action deadlines are just regular deadlines earlier on in the school year, and these deadlines can start as early as October 15th. The most common early action deadlines are usually November 1st, November 15th, and/or December 1st. But each college may have slightly different dates and deadlines. That is where it's very important to check college websites and keep track of all deadlines. Early action differs from early decision. Early decision is a binding application process in which a commitment is made by the student to that institution. If admitted, the student will enroll. Only a student who can make a deliberate and well-reasoned first choice decision should apply under an early decision plan, because the institution will require a non-refundable deposit well before May. Other deadlines are early decision 2 deadlines. They have a later deadline and notification date. The commitment to an early decision and or early decision 2 should be made with the understanding that this is a college that you are in love with and you're able and willing to commit financially. Regular decision is a general application pool with deadlines in and around January. Applicants are notified by April 1st. And rolling admissions is a general application pool with a flexible and quick turnaround on decisions as long as all requirements are submitted. There are no fixed deadlines. These colleges will accept applications until their class spots are filled. Applying to college will feel like having an 8th class on top of already demanding course schedule, after school, job activities, and homework. And so our biggest piece of advice for our rising seniors is to make sure you're keeping your parents, counselors, teachers in the loop. We're here to support everyone through this process. Please make sure you're checking your email and Canvas messages, keeping up with your deadlines, and notifying your counselor about your requirements and upcoming deadlines, especially with those early deadlines that I mentioned. In October, the FAFSA will open. The past 2 years, it's been delayed till December, and that is because it's been redesigned. And so FAFSA is another very important piece of the application process in financial aid. All students should submit a FAFSA or free application for federal student aid. The application will use prior tax returns. For example, rising seniors will be using 2024 tax information for the 2026-2027 FAFSA. Tools that could be helpful in the process are the FAFSA forecaster, which can be found on FAFSA, and net price calculators made available on individual college websites. Local scholarship information is sent out by the counseling department and made available on Naviance. Students should also eventually join a national scholarship search engine like FastWeb or Going Merry. There's a plethora of scholarships available, and students are encouraged to do their own research as well. Those Sutton scholarships will come available in the coming months. Scholarship season really begins in January of senior year. And finally, we communicate. It's important that the students stay in communication with counselors and parents. As I said before, students need to make sure they're checking their messages in Canvas and email. Time management is really important. Counselors and teachers have deadlines, and we need to know several weeks earlier than the application to give us time to ensure we have everything ready to submit on your behalf. All right, you can go to the next slide, please. So our college application timeline. In the fall of next year, counselors will go into the English classrooms for our seniors, and we will teach our students how to link Common App and Naviance. So that is the first step. Students need to ensure that they have a Common App account, and then they will be able to link it through Naviance. Once that has been done, students will begin to add colleges to their Naviance and Common App account. Please make sure that you are checking your individual college deadlines. As I shared earlier, there are different deadlines for each school. Students will then start to request teachers for their letters of recommendation. We ask that students ask in person first for that teacher, and then add them in their Naviance account. Step 4 is to fill out the transcript request form. This is an extremely important step that all students applying to college need to be aware of. We ask that every student fill it out for each school they are applying to. If you're applying to 10 schools, they will fill it out 10 different times. And they need to complete it 15 days before a deadline. This is how counselors know of students' deadline. It's how we know if counselor letters of recommendation are needed, if students are applying early decision to schools. It provides us with all the information that we need so we can ensure we have submitted all of the required materials on our end. It's very important that this step is followed. And then finally, students will submit applications and submit test scores, if they are choosing to send them. Some schools are now test optional. All of this information will again be shared when counselors go into the classrooms for our seniors next fall. All right, next slide, please. So a winter-spring timeline for our seniors for next year. They're going to finalize those college applications and research and apply to scholarships. Again, they can complete the FAFSA, which opens in October. Students need to make sure they're reading emails from colleges and responding promptly. Review the college and financial aid packages. In May, the college will notify you and you will send in your deposit, and then you will finally notify your counselor as to which college you are planning on attending. All right, next slide. All right, so some other senior opportunities for next year. During senior year, there are a couple opportunities for students to explore workplace internships with the local Arlington community. One of those is Urban Alliance. Students are able to, if you have 2 Gen Flexes in the afternoon, you can apply to Urban Alliance. This is a full year opportunity to gain real world experience through a paid internship with a local organization that they may be interested in. And for more options, you can scan the QR code in the guidebook. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Wanzer, who's going to tell us about some other options for life after high school.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ms. Wanzer. Thanks for joining us tonight. I just want to also encourage you to use the Q&A feature that we have to ask any questions that you may have during the presentation. Please be mindful that they should be general questions and not specific to your student, but we welcome your questions in the Q&A. So I'm going to talk to you about additional options after high school. While some students may attend a 4-year college, this may not be the path for everyone, and we recognize this. Some students may decide to attend community college right after high school, and this has proven to be a great option. There are many reasons for making this choice. A student may want to save money. They may want to stay close to home for family obligations or work. They're not sure about a 4-year college and if it's the right choice. Or they just want to continue exploring options. Some students are not pursuing a bachelor's degree. Some people want to take advantage of the guaranteed admissions programs that community colleges offer, or their high school transcript and GPA is just not as strong as they would like it to be. One option for community college is for those seeking an associate's degree. This is a 2-year degree that can be transferred to a 4-year college or university. Again, it's a great way to save money and still earn college credits before pursuing your bachelor's degree. You can also enter the workforce after obtaining this degree as well. Students may also pursue career certificates at a community college. This is an option for students who want to learn a specific skill or trade and intend to enter the workforce right away. An example could be a career in bookkeeping or early childhood development. A student may also attend a community college and simply take courses, which could be a non-degree seeking option. This is for those who want to take a course of interest or satisfy a requirement for work. This option doesn't earn a degree or certification. However, it's helpful for several different reasons. Sorry about that. Another option after high school is a gap year. A gap year is a year that students take in between high school and college. Students take a gap year for several reasons, to include traveling, saving money, fulfilling family obligations, decompression, or other personal reasons. For this option, some students apply to a college or university during their senior year, get accepted, and choose to defer for a year. Applying to college during senior year is supported and encouraged because it helps students get familiar with the process and work directly with their counselor. It's also helpful to already have all your teacher and counselor recommendations on file before you leave high school. Even if you choose a gap year, the additional support while still in high school can make for a much easier process once you graduate. Others may want to wait to apply to college or university during their gap year. Students should research their school of choice because not all schools will allow students to defer if this is the student's preference. In some cases, some students may consider taking a course during their gap year so that marginal skills don't diminish during this time. Planning is extremely important as well. Students should remain organized during their gap year because there's still application deadlines and other requirements for the college application process. You want to stay connected and keep your counselor informed because there will be high school documents needed to be sent to colleges. Also, students want to show colleges that their gap year was meaningful, so you want to plan the year accordingly. Each student's needs are different, so it's important to weigh the pros and cons of a gap year for yourself to ensure that you're making a well-informed and thoughtful decision that aligns with your future goals. There's a gap year fair offered on January 30th at Marshall High School in Fairfax and February 5th at Richard Montgomery High School in Maryland, as well as several virtual options. You can go to the website listed here for more details. All right, so entering the workforce is another option after high school, and there are several options available. For those seeking support with this process, please visit www.vec.virginia.gov for information on job opportunities. Also, the Job Corps offers free education, a living allowance, housing, and vocational training. This is a good way to explore career options. They have centers and campuses all over, so visit their website at jobcorps.gov for more information. There are also various on-the-job training programs available through apprenticeships. Apprenticeships offer employment training that produce highly skilled workers to meet the demands of employers. They are structured training programs where you learn on-the-job knowledge and technical skills toward a specific trade. You can receive mentoring and education while earning wages and benefits. There are also opportunities to earn college credit. Please visit the website below for apprenticeships offered through the Department of Labor and Industry. All right, there are a few other structured programs available. Apprenticeships are available to students in many different trades. Students mostly work to earn a trade with the addition of some evening schooling. These programs usually take around 5 years to complete. They're free and students immediately earn a good living wage and benefits. City Year is a service-based gap year program that's based in public school systems around the country. DCPS is a City Year location if you don't want to be too far from home. Job Corps provides free training and a jumpstart to your career, as well as free housing, medical care, and a living allowance. And placements are available all around the country as well as DC. Year Up has up to 10 different career paths available depending on your location, and you'll learn skill-based training and be provided with an internship. And 80% of program graduates have a job or are enrolled in college upon completion of the program. Lastly, I'm going to share some information with you about the military. The military is another option after high school. Joining the armed forces after high school allows individuals a chance to serve this country, get paid, study, and form a career. This process includes Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery Test, or the ASVAB test, as well as the AFQT test scores that help determine your qualifications and eligibility for specialty occupations and have enlistment bonuses. WNL hosts recruiters throughout the year from all branches and discuss career options that can be pursued in the military. Any student interested can schedule an appointment with a recruiter in Ms. Catino's office. Choosing to serve in the military is a serious commitment and decision. You can change your mind anytime before signing the final enlisting contract. Therefore, we strongly recommend that students discuss this with their parents and guardians before making a decision. Please note you must be at least 17 years old. Reach out to Ms. Catino if any of these options sound interesting to you. This concludes our presentation. Thank you so much for your attention and your patience. We will take questions for the next 5 or so minutes, so please use that Q&A feature so that a counselor can answer your questions.
And we'll answer them out loud at this point. We had been responding in the Q&A feature, but we'll respond out loud at this point.
There is one question I believe that was in the chat. We will be posting this presentation on our website after we're done recording.
Okay, looks like some questions are starting to come in. There's a question about finding volunteer opportunities or apprenticeship opportunities. Activities like volunteer work. Some things will come through the schools, and this is Ms. Catino. Sometimes I'll send stuff out. We also have several clubs that are service-based, and so they get a lot of opportunities. So if students are looking, they're into volunteering and they're looking for that, joining one of our service-based clubs at school is a great idea. Otherwise, we usually kind of ask students what they're interested in. And kind of start there. Very popular places to volunteer in Arlington are the food bank or the animal shelter. Some students are volunteering in the hospitals. So really looking towards maybe those interests of theirs and trying to think about if there's organizations that might take volunteers in that area. Apprenticeships, that's more for students after graduation. We generally hold a fair in the fall where we bring in some of those opportunities. But again, students who are interested in apprenticeships can talk to me and apprenticeships, just the short version is students will work and gain employment and learn a skill for 3 to 5 years immediately after high school. Lots of questions about weighted and unweighted GPAs. As we mentioned a few times, we're only going to report the weighted GPA. So that's bringing in the extra weight with the AP, IB, and dual enrollment classes. And then there are some electives that are going to add in the extra weight as well. Students can find their weighted GPA in their Naviance accounts. That's the best way to do it. And then if anyone is interested in seeing a transcript, they can ask myself or one of the their child's school counselor to see the transcript. The weighted GPA is also on that as well. For SAT's timeline, like when students should be testing, so SAT or ACT, generally students should be taking an SAT or ACT basically spring of junior year, so thinking to May or June. At this point, students may really only need to take it once or twice, with many schools being test optional. When's the last time you want to test kind of depends on when the student is applying to college. If students are applying early, then you want to be done by October. But if students are going to be applying regular decision, November, December would be kind of the final time to take a test.
I see a question about intensified classes and whether they add to weighted GPA. Intensified classes add to rigor on the transcript. So schools can see that you took a rigorous class, but only dual enrollment, IB, and AP classes have a quality point, which contributes to the weighted GPA.
GPAs are updated at the end of every academic school year. So you don't get them like throughout the year. It's a cumulative GPA, and we'll factor in the final GPA. So for juniors, whatever the GPA is in basically the beginning of July is the GPA juniors will be using to apply to college. Lots of questions about like internships and volunteer work. We would love to have a database of internships. I know it's something that county is kind of working on with work-based learning, but unfortunately doesn't really exist right now. Anything that I get across my desk in terms of really any opportunity, internship, volunteer, whatever, I send out to students and families. But I get very little internship opportunities. Usually it's students, again, kind of thinking towards, okay, well, what's that content area or academic area they're interested or what they want to learn about, and then contacting organizations, local organizations to see if they're interested in taking interns. Yeah, if you have questions, reaching out to counselors to schedule appointments. Absolutely, everyone kind of, for academic planning, has different ways they've communicated with students how they want to set up for academic planning. Otherwise, sending a Canvas message or an email. Right now is an incredibly busy time with academic planning. So, no, you're not going to email, your counselor saying get an appointment tomorrow. But we'll, we'll work with you to find a mutual time. Parents can get Naviance accounts again. They just have to send me, Ms. Catino, a message, and I can get you set up with your parent accounts. I think. All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap up for this evening. We appreciate you all being here. As we mentioned before, we will get the PowerPoint slides and our notes and any important links that we want you all to know. We'll put that all together on the website and get that sent out to students and families here by the hopefully by the end of the week, if not early next week. And we appreciate you. Stay warm. Take care.